Hello everyone, and welcome to Boundary Systems webinar series. In this presentation, we'll be talking about Creo and Windchill options and variants. Before we dive into the demo, I would like to go through a quick introduction of myself and the company. And then we'll go through all these bulletins as part of the demonstration and potentially a couple of slides. So we're going to start talking about the configurable product, showing an overloaded assembly in Creo, and then we'll check in the assembly into Windchill, generating a product structure. Then we'll jump into the options and variant functionality in Windchill by creating options and choices. Then we'll create an option set, we'll assign it, we'll create some conditional rules, and then we'll apply the choices to the product structure, and then we'll go through a quick configuration of the end item, and potentially we'll go back to Creo and demonstrate how the options that we generated in Windchill will transfer automatically to the Creo assembly. My name is Robert Sirhan. I'm a PLM specialist and a Windchill architect. I have about 15 plus years experience in Windchill as an implementer. And also I started obviously as a mechanical engineer using Creo about 23 years ago. And I have a lot of experience with Creo. Who we are. Boundary System is a technology leader. We partner with PTC. Our primary goal is to implement and configure PTC products for companies as a solution to their product design and product management. We also partner with other technology companies like e.t.c. We were rated as 16th fastest growing private company in the Cleveland greater area. And we're also part of a global group or companies called PDSVision Group. Our capabilities, obviously, product lifecycle management using Windchill. And we help customers implement, install, support, and maintain their Windchill environments. And data management in general. Additionally, we do CAD design and consulting, CAD simulation, and overall product development. We have won some industry awards, and we have been accredited to being a PTC Platinum partner. We are certified implementers for Windchill. I am certified implementer. We're preferred service provider for PTC, and we're also certified a training partner for PTC, and we offer classes for Creo, Windchill, MathCAD, ArborText, and custom classes also when the companies find it more beneficial for their environment. As I mentioned earlier, we strictly focus on PTC products, but we also realize that sometimes PTC falls short from delivering a complete solution, or potentially a customer might have some unique goals that they need to implement. So we also look and sell and maintain, support, implement third-party software that potentially help overall your product design process. These products could potentially be an enhancements to Creo or to Windchill in general. One of the major ones that we do quite a bit of work with would be e.t.c. as a solution, third-party solution to Windchill, and really delivers on functionality that PTC lacks. If you have any further question in regards to this demo or any other questions, feel free to email me at rsirhan@boundarysys.com. For additional information about licensing and maybe potential personal demo, you can send an email to our sales department, sales@boundarysys.com. And please feel free visit our boundarysys.com and our YouTube channel, where this presentation and others will be uploaded. Before I jump into the demo, let me give you a couple tips in regards to this options and variants module. So options and variants comes installed with Windchill PDM link. It's not an extra module you have to install. However, it is not enabled out of the box. So you have to go to your site preferences and set the preference, configure module support to yes, and that would enable options and variants in the interface. In order to create conditional rules, and this is something I'll demonstrate as part of the demonstration today, it is not part of the out-of-the-box embedded options and variant functionality as part of PDM link. To utilize or to create conditional rules, you have to install or add on Windchill platform structures to your Windchill installation. So you have to run basically an installer to the Windchill installer and add this particular module. Once you have done that, then you potentially will have to visit the license management in your site and add the user to this platform structure license that you will see there. And once you have done that, at that point, that user will see the tab to do conditional rules. On the product details page, add a new tab and add the assigned option set and the option sets tables. I'll point that out to you once we jump into the demo. Make sure that your CAD objects are being published. I mean, obviously, you can take advantage of the options and variants, but to generate the variant BOMs. But obviously, if you want to visual what the product looks like, all these CAD objects have to have representations, along with the obviously WT parts associated with them. So a CAD publisher would be recommended. Our configurable product today is of a vice, and the product is going to be will be configured to order, as there are many types of configurations for a product line, like configure to make or manufacture, configure to engineer. And there's other terms that we use for a product configuration. But for this particular demo, our product is configured to order. Basically, configure what you want, and then it'll be ready to be shipped, assembled, and shipped. The vice assembly has two modules that potentially can be varied or can have variances to them or configured. This would be the handle style and the jaw type. So the handle style and lengths combined together, and then the jaw type. All right, so let's jump into the actual demonstration. I'm looking at the actual assembly in Creo. If you've never seen the assembly type in Creo, which is a configurable assembly, it's called Configurable Product, really. I'll just quickly show you in the menu for the new. So you'll see what it is. So when you click on assembly, you would see here there's a configurable product. The configurable product, you want to look at it as sort of the top level or high level. And within it, you would have configurable modules. And the idea is that a configurable product could have static components. Those are the basic components that are needed regardless what configuration you want. And then you would add on the sub-assemblies as configurable modules, and those would be the assemblies that would carry a variation of the product that potentially could be chosen as a new configuration. So here we have the jaw. I'm going to open this up just to show you what this looks like. So the module, the assembly module, for those of you who've been using Creo for a while, I'm sure you're familiar with exchange assemblies. Very similar to exchange assemblies. same functionality really, just different icons and so on. But the difference is that an exchange assembly cannot be assembled as a sub-assembly anywhere, while a module assembly can. A module assembly can be assembled in a product, configurable product assembly, as you see here. There's two of them, the jaw and the hand. Okay, so basically what I've done here, once I've done this, there are no choices. I have not done anything in Creo per se, so there are no choices. There's nothing to configure here. So I just assembled this overloaded assemblies, meaning every component that potentially can be turned on and off based on some logic, and saved that into the workspace and checked it in and generated the WT parts that go along with the CAD. You'll see that the Windchill identifies very quickly the type of that product configuration, and it gives it a unique icon for the CAD objects and the WT parts. Also, you see WT parts. This is sort of the design part, the regular gear, but if you see here, this one is the end item. This is basically the Vice master product. And this, if you scroll down here, those would be the modules that carry the configurable items that we could turn on and off. Okay, that's basically where I'm at, and I'm gonna minimize this and jump into Windchill. And here's Windchill. This is the product configurable Vice, and all these items have been checked in, and I'm ready to start my configuration for this product. So to do this, I'm gonna open the details page of that product context. And right here, you're gonna see these additional tabs you probably haven't seen before, product family and option pool. This is the one I mentioned as part of the slides, is that this one is not there by default, and you might want to add it. It is under the general. So add the tab, go to the customize, and add assigned option set and option sets. You'll see how that functionality is there later. So what I've done here is I've done some work up front just to minimize the take advantage of the short time that we have together. So basically what I've done here, I added choices and for the configurable Vice, and these choices are the handle lengths and the option, it's called an option, and the choices for these options are medium, large, and extra large. Another option would be the handle style, simple, and spinner. The jaw type, I haven't done anything for the jaw type. I'm gonna go ahead and create the choices for the type. And that would be the, we have a jaw type for a standard. And another one for curved. And the last one is tall. And that's basically all the options and choices I need to configure this problem. I'm going to jump into the option set, and I'm going to create a new set. And in this new set, there's options that you could configure, whether you want to allow assignment of excluded choices. You could potentially identify a set based on some rules. You say if somebody select these choices, throw an error that you should exclude these type of selections. So again, you could control some of these things upon initiating a new set. The only thing that I want to do is reference option pool automatically. I'm going to set that to no. I don't want that reference to happen automatically. And I'm going to call this the master set. So once I've done the master set, I'm going to assign it to the actual product. So we'll just assign it like so. And the idea is that I could have multiple option sets, And these option sets could be driven by effectivity. So for example, you know, in a certain, when you're manufacturing that product, this particular set with all these options, you know, potentially cannot be applicable at a certain time. Maybe, you know, you don't have the material to build that certain set of configurations. So that's the idea, is that you could have multiple sets and you could assign them and have them expire based on the time. Okay, I'm going to open up the master set, and we're going to come here and we're going to add. This is the cool thing about it, that you can add the options that you would like. So in this case, I want all these options to be available in this particular set. So you can here see the option sets. And by the way, the handle style option is required and the jaw style is required. However, the handle length is not. Later on, we'll explain why. So this is the what I was talking about as part of the slides, the conditional rules. The idea is that right now, I mean, if I apply this set to the end item, there is really no restrictions. I mean, somebody could select, you know, a combination of choices that doesn't necessarily put together a functional product or a manufacturable product, period. So what we're going to do, we're going to build in some rules, and these rules are going to help the user pick the right options, or if they do pick the wrong options or they miss an option, the system will prompt them to correct that action. But the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if the spinner is selected, and the spinner is part of the handle, which has got the little knob on it that we can spin to close and open the device. If the spinner was selected, I'm going to go ahead and disable the length choices. So we're going to disable the medium, and we're going to disable the large and the extra large. So that's the first one, the first rule we're going to put in there. We're going to plug in another rule, and the second rule is going to say, if medium, large, or extra large were selected, we better include simple, the simple configuration for the handle. So to do this, I can start with the if statement and start typing in medium. Here's first one. Another if, that's an or, basically, if medium or large, or extra large have been selected, make sure to require single select for the simple, because simple has 3 options, and we want to make sure that to include the simple if any of these were selected. Okay. And a third one is, what I'm going to do is we want to make sure that if the spinner is selected, we want to disable, sorry, if the simple is selected, then we want to disable the spinner. So we're going to do this. I'm going to say, if the medium or yeah, I got to do another one of these. I'm sorry, I think I already done that one. Disable the spinner. My bad. All right, this is it. That's all the rules I'm going to write. Got a little confused here. So that's basically it. These are the two rules that I had in mind, and now we're going to jump into the actual structure and apply these the choices to the actual product structure. To do that, we're going to jump into the Configurable Product folders page, and we're going to open the information page for the master. And we're going to go to the Structure tab. And also, as part of the slides, I identified that there's the assigned usage expression column that need to be added to the product structure table. And that's accomplished by just simply going to the Manage Table Views, and I created a new one basically called Options Assignment. This is a default that you've probably seen in the product structure, and I created this one. Took away some of the the default columns and added the assigned usage expression. All right, so now we're going to start with the let's start with the handle. So I'm going to right click on the handle in the product structure. I'm going to open the information page, and we are going to check this guy out. And we'll start with the handle spin assembly. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to hit assign expression. And for the handle spin assembly, the handle style is going to be spinner. That's basically it. For the handle large, the length has to be large and the style has to be simple. So length equal large and the handle is simple. And this one would be the length medium. And again, the handle style is simple. And the last one here, assign expression. This one is the length is extra large and the handle is simple. So again, this is the why I wanted to add this column, because it tells me what I did. So basically for the handle spin, handle style is spinner. So if the spinner was selected, then you want to turn this one on. If you select large and simple, then this will be turned on, everything else will be off, and so on. So medium, simple, and extra large, simple. So now I can check this guy in. And we're gonna kick back to the end item again. And now we're gonna work with the jaw module. So I'm gonna open up the information for the jaw subassembly. Again, check it out. This one's pretty straightforward. So for the tall jaw, we're gonna do assign jaw type tall. And for the standard, assign expression standard. And for the curved, we're going to do curved. And we're going to check it back in. Let's kick back to the top level assembly, the end item. And at this point, I'm ready to configure. It's this simple, it's really done. So let's go ahead to the actions, and we're going to select configure. And we're going to jump into the optional filter. And you can see here, these are my options. And if I click on, for example, this guy here, I'm presented with simple or spinner. So if I select spinner, for example, I come back to this and notice that my conditional rules are in action right now. It disabled these. I can't select any of these anymore. And for the jaw type, let's do curved. And that's it. Those are my options for this particular configuration. So I'm going to hit next. I didn't really, I mean, there's a lot of other things that you could do with this module. Obviously, we could get into customized parameters where based on your selection, parameter value would drive the value of another parameter. So there's a lot of complexity that could be associated with metadata of a particular product based on the specific designs. Whether the product being configured in the US versus Europe. So if that's the case, make sure it's 220 volt versus 120 volt and so on. So all these things can be built in to the product via these parameters. I don't have any for this particular configuration, but keep in mind that that's definitely something that we can do. I create a new variant specification. I have turned on the preference in Windchill where if the same choices have been selected as part of this interface, automatically determine whether an existing variation already exists, and if so, present it here as a configurable variant. So therefore, you don't have to have redundant variants objects in your product line. Obviously, this one doesn't have any. This is the first one I create, so it's unique. We'll go ahead and call it V1, as in variance 1. And again, next, create a new module variant. Absolutely want to do that. So we'll hit finish. And there you go, variant verification, and it gave it V1. And it's an object like any other object. It has a version, and we can look at the structure of it. And you can see now, once we look at this, you see this is the spinner assembly. This one is a sub-assembly on its own. And you can see that the handle has the handle spinner associated to it. And we can retrieve this and open the structure in Creo view. Take a look and see what it looks like. There you go. So this is what the product looks like in Creo view. So obviously all the other ones were turned off. And if we go back to the configurable, the folder page of the product, you would see the variance V and some automated number to it. And if we look at this guy, and here you would see the actual bill of material for this. This is a sub-assembly for the handle and the knob. This is a spinner choice, and everything else should sit as flat. So this is, in a nutshell, basically how to configure this in Windchill. If you want to do another potential configuration, so again, you would go back to the end item, actions, configure, and here I'm going to go through and select the same stuff I selected earlier, and just to show you that it should pick up on it and lets me know that already this type of configuration exists. What do you want to do? So here the options would be go to selected variant specific information page, go to selected module variant, create a new variant. So I mean, it's redundant, but you can potentially create a new one, assuming maybe your parameters are different or something. So that's why this option is here. All right, so what happens on the Creo side? So we're going to switch to the Creo window. I'm going to synchronize my workspace. And I'm going to go ahead and retrieve the configurable product. And you would see here, once I click on choices, all the choices that I have developed in Windchill propagated to this assembly. Okay. However, none of the logic that I've done, I mean, PTC, they claim it is bidirectional. Either I'm missing something or I'm not setting something right, but I don't see that. it seems like it's a one-directional thing. So when I do the configuration in Windchill, it does propagate these choices, options and choices to Creo, but it's not the other way around. If I was to start in Creo, I would have to redo all this in Windchill because none of that information transfers. So I'm going to call it a directional associativity really at this point. And none of the logic, I mean, the logic is not here. The stuff that I've done was the obviously the conditional rules and the assignments to WT parts. All that information did not really come across. All that came across is the choices and options, or options and choices. So how to configure this in Creo? It's relatively straightforward. I mean, if you wanted to do that in Creo, you can. Because right now, if I was to go and apply the V1 variance that I created in Windchill, and that variance actually did propagate into this assembly, Creo would not know what to do with it. It doesn't know because nothing was assigned. These choices don't have any components assigned to them, and that's what you need to do here. And it's pretty easy actually to do it in Windchill. We'll start with the jaw module, which is pretty straightforward. So what you want to do is assign the choice to, and let's start with the standard. And really what you want to do is just click the standard. That's basically it. Come back here, click the curve, and we're going to select the curve. And then we're going to click here again. We're going to select the tall, and we're going to select the tall. All right. Now we'll move on to the handle. So again, select up here, and we're going to select handle. And this one is the handle, which is medium. And we are going to turn off the spinner. So if the medium was selected, the spinner should be turned off. And we'll go to the handle large. That would be that one. And again, turn off the spinner. The extra large. Same thing, we're going to select extra large and turn off the spinner. And the last one is the handle with the spin and the knob, the subassembly. And this one, we're going to say this one is a spinner. And we're going to turn off all these guys. And that's basically it. So if I close this, and if I go to my variants, you're going to see the V1 propagated. And I could, I'll come back to this in a second here, but you can actually access this from the apply variant specification. You see V1 here, hit OK, boom. The same configuration that I saw in Creo view propagated into the product assembly or configurable product in Creo. That's basically it. Now from Creo, you potentially can go to the variant builder, and you could select these choices if you want. But again, the thing with this is there's no logic to it. So I could select potentially spinner and medium. Yeah, it'll warn me. It'll have a warning that what I selected is not configurable. But there's nothing that stops me from doing it. Versus what you saw in Windchill that actually grayed out the options. They were not available. They're disabled. So it's much friendlier in the Windchill interface than here. And obviously, I mean, the relationship and the expressions that you could do in Windchill are not available here in Creo. But the idea is that, yeah, I can come in here, configure this, simple, let's say medium, we'll do standards. So what it looks like if now I can update this presentation. I could also create a product variant right from here in Windchill. So if I click on this, it would actually bring an interface. Do you want to save changes? See if you save them, and at that point, it will let you know that you can create that WT part and the variant in Windchill. I'm going to hit no for right now. Cancel this. So that's basically it. We're doing good on time. It's 5 after 12. So I would entertain any questions that you may have. And I suppose the way we do questions, you can raise your hand, or you could you could type in the chat what you would like me to address, and take it from there. All right, I don't see anybody sending any questions my way. I would bring up an objection that some customers sort of present to me. And the objection is like, okay, well, if I do it in Creo, you know, what's the point? And by the way, I forget to mention something. Like once you have configured something in Creo, you could capture that configuration via simplified wrap. So once you have done a configuration, you could come in here and do a, you know, it will tell you that let me show you actually. So if we go back to this and apply V1, so you could see, hit OK on this, you would see now the on-demand master is has been tagged as modified. But really, I should have set it to the master, not to this. Let me double click on the master first, then I'll try. So now I could do a save, and I could call this, let's say, spinner underscore curved. So now I can go master, spinner curve. And so if you wanted to make a drawing of this, you could you know, reference that simplified wrap and make a drawing of it. But the other objection I always see here is, you know, if we can do all this in Creo, why do we need all that work in Windchill? Well, obviously, for a Creo user, you might be of that opinion, but you got to keep in mind, not everybody is a Creo user, and not everybody is an engineer. So the idea is to extend this configuration to your sales department or your marketing department, where you have done all the front work of engineering and putting all these things together and identifying that these types of choices are reasonable to deliver a product to the customer. So that Windchill extends that functionality to non-engineers in an easy to follow, easy to understand interface. I hope everyone got something out of this presentation. I will still wait about 5 minutes before I end the seminar or the presentation. I'll wait for your questions if you have any.